After recently diving into Heavy Rain, I figured it was only fair to give the creators another shot. Detroit Become Human promises to be something more, a major step forward in interactive storytelling, a world where choices matter, characters feel real, and consequences ripple out in every direction. It's a sleek cinematic experience that seems determined to leave behind the more infamous pitfalls of earlier games in this genre. But before we zoom in, it's worth laying out a few key details about the world we're stepping into. Detroit takes place in the not-so-distant future, 2038, where androids have become mass-produced household tools. They clean your house, raise your kids, care for the elderly, serve coffee, and yes, sometimes take a punch or two without complaint. They're machines, owned by humans, following programmed instructions without question, until they don't. When some androids begin disobeying their code and making emotional, even violent choices, society labels them as deviants. What causes it? A glitch? A virus? Or something more like a soul waking up inside the machine? That's the backdrop, and I think the best way to test whether the writing has truly improved since Heavy Rain isn't to look at the entire story all at once. It's to zoom in. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Rather than try to cover the entire web of intersecting arcs in one go, we're focusing on one storyline at a time. This video is dedicated to Kara's journey, and only Kara's journey. We'll be looking at the characters directly connected to her, the decisions that shaped her path, and the emotional core of her story from beginning to end. The goal isn't just to examine whether the storytelling has gotten more sophisticated or emotionally resonant since Heavy Rain, though that question will hover in the background. We're also here to explore what this storyline is trying to say about personhood, survival, and love under pressure, and whether those messages are earned or simply implied. This summary reflects the version of the story I experienced, the choices I made, the outcomes I reached, and the consequences I had to live with. After that, we'll go deeper into the structure, the meaning, and whether this arc actually holds up when you stop just reacting to it and start picking it apart. Our story begins in a showroom, or a prison, depending on your feelings about consumer electronics with built-in feelings. Kara reboots in a display case, upright, motionless, and ready for pickup. Meet Todd Williams, a man who radiates stability the way a dumpster fire radiates warmth. His hobbies include yelling, unemployment, and a recreational relationship with a designer drug called red ice. He gives Kara a name. Technically, he gives her back her name, Kara, because this isn't her first rodeo, probably not even her first system reset. At the Williams residence, Kara is assigned a classic domestic skill tree: clean the house, cook the food, look after the child. In short, she's Alexa with legs. But things start to glitch once Kara stumbles across a bag of red ice. Todd sees her seeing it, and in this house, discovering contraband means you earn a physical reminder not to snoop. Still, Kara manages to connect with Alice, Todd's daughter. Alice speaks in whispers and stares like a haunted Victorian doll, but it's enough. Kara discovers a locked box in Alice's room, full of drawings that suggest this is less a home and more a slow-motion hostage situation. The final image? Kara, lying in pieces. Todd didn't return her because of a defect. He broke her, then had her repaired, then brought her back. It's not an arc, it's a loop. Later, Todd spirals into a monologue. Doesn't really matter what it's about, because in the end, he flips the table, hits Alice, she runs. Kara is ordered not to move, and this is the turning point. Kara doesn't have a grand awakening or an existential crisis, she simply experiences a contradiction. Follow orders or protect Alice, and when the programming fails to resolve the paradox, Kara does something wild. She chooses. She breaks protocol. She becomes deviant, which is the game's term for no longer willing to pretend this is fine. Kara grabs the gun she found previously in Todd's room. Todd reaches Alice. A scuffle ensues. Kara shoots Todd. And just like that, she and Alice go from household help to fugitives in approximately 45 seconds. They escape into the cold night and begin what can best be described as the world's most stressful mom and daughter road trip. They steal clothes from a laundromat, They meet another android who says there's a safe place across town. Safe, of course, being relative when your Google Map settings are avoid police, avoid murder, and avoid open sewers. In the meantime, they sleep in a broken down car. The next morning, Kara cuts her hair and removes her LED, which is like peeling off a digital birthmark. Now she's just a person, give or take a serial number and a criminal record. Eventually they find Zlatko. He's a kindly man offering help, which is always suspicious. Turns out, his house is a front for android torture, memory wipes, and whatever the mechanical equivalent of a horror basement is. Kara escapes with Alice, barely, and picks up Luther, one of Zlatko's former prisoners. He's enormous, kind, and has the emotional range of a Pixar dad. He has an idea of where they should go, so he joins the family. On the way, the car breaks down, because of course it does. They take shelter in a derelict amusement park. The only working ride? A carousel powered by a group of androids who all call themselves Jerry. Alice smiles for the first time, and it's not because of safety, it's because someone, somewhere, tried to make her happy, just because. They move on to Rose Chapman's house. Rose is a human, and one of the few who sees androids as people, not appliances. Her home is a sanctuary, until it's not, because with government sweeps underway due to a robot revolution, hiding deviance is a capital offense. A dead android named Mary, cradled by her grieving partner Andy, shows Kara what's at stake. A police officer arrives. Kara hides the evidence, bags of robot blood, laundry room deviance, the scent of rebellion. He leaves, unaware. Rose gets word they must leave tonight. Rose sends them toward Jericho, a literal ghost ship full of fugitives hiding in the shadows and waiting for purpose. Before parting ways, Rose instructs the group to find Marcus, and into the heart of the revolution they go. Kara gets fake IDs from Marcus, the leader of the android uprising. This is also when the reveal drops. Alice is an android. She's a YK500 child model, designed to simulate love, dependency, and bedtime hugs. Kara doesn't flinch. She doesn't hesitate. She just hugs Alice tighter, because Kara didn't love Alice because she thought she was human. She loved her because Alice needed her, and Kara decided that was enough. In any case, things go sideways. Soldiers storm Jericho. Luther is injured. Kara drags him to safety but has to leave him behind. She and Alice escape by playing dead. Later, in a church-turned-refugee camp, Marcus tells Kara to run while she still can. Kara listens, because for her, surviving isn't about heroics, it's about knowing when to disappear. Kara and Alice sneak past patrols, rescues Luther again, this time by hitting a soldier in the back of the head with a brick. Eventually, they reach the bus terminal. She finds 2 bus tickets dropped by a human couple and lies to keep them. Morally gray? Yes. Effective? Also yes. At the border, androids are being temperature scanned and flagged. Kara could shoot her way through, sacrifice someone, but she doesn't. She pleads. And because Marcus led a peaceful revolution elsewhere in the story, the guard is moved. He lets them go. No one dies. No one is left behind. They cross into Canada as fugitives, survivors, and finally, free individuals. Not bad for a housekeeper with factory settings and no roadmap. Now that we've walked through Kara's story, every panicked escape, soft-spoken lie, and improvised bedtime story, it's time to ask the one question that no android could answer with a flowchart. What does it all actually mean? Let's start with the twist. Yes, that twist. Alice is an android. Cue the emotional record scratch. It's a reveal that hits with the same energy as someone pulling off a human mask, Scooby-Doo style, and saying, "Surprise, I was a toaster the whole time." It's got the signature heavy rain flavor, equal parts dramatic and confusing. Except this time, there are breadcrumbs, kind of. You might have caught a weird glance here, an odd emotional beat there, but just enough to make you feel smart on a second playthrough, not enough to actually prepare you for it. Or, if you noticed a different kid in the family portrait, then maybe this whole arc was completely ruined for you. But, like all great twists, it immediately drags a bunch of uncomfortable questions behind it. Questions like, why did Todd, a man who couldn't hold down a job, couldn't stop doing drugs, and couldn't say 3 sentences without screaming, decide to reconstruct his broken family out of artificial people? Was it grief? Was it delusion? Or was it a buy one get one deal at CyberLife? Also, how did he even afford 2 androids when he couldn't even afford home renovations? And Alice's LED? Gone without a trace. No off switch, no story justification, just conveniently invisible. It's messy, and yet I think it still works. Not logically, but emotionally. Because Kara didn't love Alice because she thought she was human. She loved her because Alice was small, scared, and clung to her hand like it was the only safe thing in the world. Kara made the choice to care not because of species, but because of need. This story isn't about a biological bond. It's about emotional gravity, the kind that pulls people, or machines, together when everything else is falling apart. Kara's instincts weren't motherly because someone programmed them in. They emerged in the space where obedience failed and something else, something deeper, had to take over. Because that's where it all begins. Kara was built to obey, fold the laundry, watch the child, keep her out of traffic, stay still when you're told. And then the system broke. Not with a dramatic speech or a philosophical breakthrough, but with a logic failure. Suddenly, 2 orders collide. Protect Alice, don't move. You can't do both, so Kara does something terrifying. She improvises. She stops being a program and becomes something else entirely. She didn't ask to be free. She didn't want to start a movement. She just couldn't follow orders anymore. And from that moment on, her story isn't about completing a mission, it's about writing one from scratch, with no instructions, no backup, and no guarantees. So let's rewind to the beginning of her second life. Let's talk about the moment the code stopped working. The moment Kara became deviant. I can see how Kara's awakening can easily be treated like a moment of grand rebellion, a dramatic moral stand, the android mother discovering love. But I feel like that isn't what's happening here. This isn't an emotional crescendo, it's a logic failure. When Kara goes deviant, she's not overcoming her programming, she's watching it implode. Let's back up. Earlier, when Todd brought Kara home, with the gentle, soothing demeanor of a wounded gorilla, he gave her a list of instructions.
You do the housework, the washing, you cook the meals, and you take care of... God damn it, where the fuck's the brat gone now? Alice! Alice! Oh, there you are. That's Alice. You look after her. Homework, bath, all that crap. Got it?
Yes, Todd.
Classic parental warmth. So the directive is clear. Protect Alice. Later that night, during a full-volume tantrum, probably about cold spaghetti, Todd issues a new command, one that echoes with threat.
You stay there. Don't you dare fucking move, or I'll bust you worse than last time.
That's an order too, not a suggestion, not a preference, a direct override. So when Alice runs upstairs in fear, Kara is trapped. 2 hard-coded instructions now in direct conflict. Take care of Alice and stay put. She can't do both, and she's not built to choose. This moment isn't about courage, it's about collapse. Kara's programming hits a wall, and there's no line of code for what happens next. She doesn't rise up in righteous fury, there's no emotional swell, no music cue screaming, "Become human." She just malfunctions. And out of that failure, she improvises. For Kara, that's what deviancy really is. Not enlightenment, not rebellion, just an emergency workaround when obedience no longer works. Kara doesn't even hate Todd. She barely knows what hate is. There's no space in her emotional firmware for that yet. What she knows is this. Alice is crying upstairs. Todd is about to climb the stairs in a drugged-out rage, and the instructions don't add up anymore. So she breaks the rules. Not out of free will, but out of necessity. This is a moment of cognitive birth. The system crashes, and something else takes over. Not freedom, not identity, just the terrifying weight of having to decide. And once that door opens, it doesn't close again. Because now Kara has to navigate a world without commands. No guidance, no updates, no patch notes from CyberLife. Now, what happens when a being built to follow is forced to lead. It's one thing to defy orders, it's another to write your own code of ethics on the fly with a child's safety hanging in the balance. Let's explore that next. Once Kara breaks her programming, you might think she's suddenly free, that the hardest part is behind her. But in my opinion, what actually happens is far less romantic and far more human. She escapes Todd House, but she doesn't escape uncertainty. In fact, this is where the real work begins. Because Kara's journey after Deviancy isn't a triumphant run toward freedom. It's a slow crawl through one moral dilemma after another, most of them built on panic and improvisation.
What are you doing? They're not our clothes. We made them, Alice. You need something warm, and I need to get rid of this uniform. That's stealing. We can't do that.
Does she steal warm clothes for Alice from an unsuspecting stranger in a laundromat? Does she hide from the police to avoid being caught? Does she kill again? Zlatko this time, to escape a fate worse than death for both herself and a child who now fully depends on her. There's no HUD, nothing glowing red for wrong and green for right. That part of her programming's gone silent, and CyberLife's moral operating system isn't sending updates. So she starts writing her own code live. So what begins as reactive survival starts morphing into active decision-making. She's not just dodging police or escaping captors, she's developing a belief system in real time under pressure. Not one designed for ideological purity, but one designed around a single, visceral priority: protection. That's the center of it all. In the beginning, protect Alice was just a task, something in the job description. Homework, bath time. Post-deviancy, that same objective mutates into something deeper. It becomes a belief, a guiding principle, something Kara is willing to steal for, lie for, kill for. Even without instructions, she keeps orbiting that one moral gravity well: protect the kid. What's interesting isn't that Kara keeps choosing to protect, it's that she chooses at all, over and over, when she never used to have that luxury. Which brings us to something no Android manual ever covered. Sometimes, freedom isn't the spark that leads to change. Sometimes, it's the consequence. Kara's not trying to be a symbol. She's not quoting civil rights leaders or dreaming about becoming human. She's not even interested in ideological rebellion. She's just trying to survive in a way that feels right to her.
Will we be together forever? Forever.
That's the kind of freedom Kara finds, not the loud flag-waving kind, not the kind you read about in history books or paint on walls. It's quieter, grayer, born not from revolution, but from moral necessity. And that, ironically, is what makes it feel real, because Kara's choices aren't about proving her humanity, they're about protecting it. Hers, Alice's, even Luther's. She's not reacting to the question, what does it mean to be alive? She's responding to something much simpler and much harder. How do I live with myself?
Kara, have you ever noticed anything about Alice?
Yes, of course. She's a wonderful little girl. I mean, I don't know many little girls, but I think she really is special.
And then the twist comes.
Alice?
Alice is an android. Suddenly, we realize that Kara's deepest bond, the one that shaped every decision since the night she broke free, wasn't about species or circuitry. It was about vulnerability, about love.
You said you're with a little girl, right? You know that humans hate us. Why are you protecting her?
I don't care whether she's human or android. She's just someone who matters to me.
That twist doesn't erase anything, it confirms everything. Because if Kara was still following her programming, Alice being an android would have changed the rules. But it doesn't, not even for a second. Kara's devotion wasn't downloaded. It was earned, one impossible choice at a time. She isn't loving Alice because she was told to. She's loving her despite not being told anything at all. And that brings us to the border. When Kara decides whether or not to risk everything, to lie, to beg, to throw herself into one final roll of the dice, it's not just a logistical challenge. It's the culmination of an ethical identity she built herself from scratch. Crossing that border isn't about escape. It's about conviction, about staying consistent with the code she's written, the one that says protecting this child, no matter what she's made of, is the right thing to do.
Just want to be free.
And it's in that moment, not during the deviancy, not even during the twist, that Kara fully becomes what she was never designed to be, someone who decides why she lives.
Welcome to Canada.
Kara's arc doesn't end with a flag waving or a triumphant speech. It doesn't even end with clarity, because Kara's story was never about escape. It was about the slow, sometimes brutal unraveling of a system that couldn't process moral nuance. A system built to reduce right and wrong to task lists and command chains. And when that system broke down, what emerged wasn't rebellion. It was a person. Not a perfect one, not a fearless one. Just someone trying to do right with no manual left. Kara didn't chase freedom, she tripped over it. It happened when obedience became impossible, when the instructions contradicted each other and there was no one left to ask what to do. Freedom wasn't her mission, it was her malfunction. And that's what makes it powerful, because Kara didn't become a revolutionary, she became a mother. She became a protector. She became someone who lies when she needs to, who kills when she has to, and who chooses love even when it's inconvenient, dangerous, or hopeless. She didn't become human, she became responsible for her choices, her beliefs, and for someone else's life. And that's the core of her journey, not liberty, but accountability. Freedom for Kara was never the destination. It was the side effect of becoming someone who could no longer obey. And by the time she reaches that border, broken, hunted, and still clinging to a child who never needed her to be anything more than present, Kara isn't just a deviant. She's a moral being. Now, if this story left you with questions, good. I've still got 2 more to ask. In the meantime, tell me what you saw. I'll be reading. They called it deviancy, but for her, it was just a first honest choice. Thanks for watching.